Hello, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the DaVinci Resolve tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 5, where I'll be editing the workspace. Okay, so in last class, we have learned about the media page. Okay, but here we'll be talking about the edit page in where we'll be spending most of our times. Okay, so let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see, now I'm here in the media page over here. And in last class, I have showed you that how you will be able to segregate all of your works. Okay. And over here, you guys can see that I do have my files. Okay. I do have my images, I do have my audios and also my videos segregated quite properly. Okay. So now let's move on to the edit page right over here. And once you go over here onto the edit page, let's open my media pool from here. And over here, if you just look at this interface, you guys can see under this media file, I can actually import my media over here into my timeline. Okay, so over here, we have basically skipped this cut page. Okay, but I will just go in a brief because that is not quite important. And if you want to know a bit more over here, you guys can come here and I will just explain you a bit over here as well. Okay, so let's say I want to come here and I do have a video which is around 30 seconds. Okay, so let's say I will just click over here once and I will be able to view this over here into my timeline. Let's say I will come here and instead of this particular timeline, let's say I want to get this particular video, and over here of this particular video, once I double click, I only want 2 seconds of this 13 seconds video. Okay, if you want to do some major cut, here you guys can see this red color one is basically the playhead. And now I want to trim my video down. Okay, let's say I want the video over here, okay, of this particular place. Okay, only this particular place. So in that case, the different ways are there. I can just come here and I can just drag this one down from here. Otherwise, the shortcut way of doing this is make your playhead and click on I. Okay, so from your keyboard, if you just click on I, you guys can see I have actually select the in point. Over here you guys can see this is the in point, and if I keep my playhead right over here and if I click on O, you guys can see now only this particular part of my whole footage will be imported right over here. Okay, so in that case, what I can do is I can come here, take this one. Okay, and now from here, let's drag this one and let's drag and drop this one right over here. Okay, and you guys can see the total duration of this particular footage is around 12 seconds. Okay, so over here you guys can see it is around 12 and 3 frames. And once your video is ended, you guys will be able to see this kind of thing here in your source monitor. Okay, so if you do want to see a preview, let's move on to my playhead over here and let's come here and let's play this thing up. And here you guys can see my video is basically being played right over here. If I want to stop it, I can come here and stop it. If I want to go and play in reverse, I can come here and play in reverse as well. Let's just pause this thing down. If you want to go back frame by frame or at the starting, you guys can come here and you guys can directly go on to the start point. And here, if you want to go here in the end point, you guys can come here and go to the end point itself if you want to trim up anything. Okay, so let's say now over here you want to import multiple footages. Okay, so of this particular video I want only 12 seconds, which I have already cut and put. But now I will just double click over here and again I want to import a little part of this particular video. Let's say I want to come right over here. I want to select the in point over here and the out point right over here itself. Okay, so now once you're done, you guys can come here and you guys can drag this particular footage and you guys can just bring it and just put it over here at last. Okay, so here now you guys can see that the total duration of this whole footage is changed to 14 seconds. Okay, so as you guys can see, the total duration have changed basically to 14 seconds. And if you move your playhead over here as well, otherwise using spacebar, you guys can actually play and pause as well. Okay, so once you are done, okay, once you have imported your media over here, you guys can come into this edit page. Okay, so if you have to do some major cutting or if you want to do some major trimming into a video, this one is important. But the same thing you guys can do from the edit page itself. So now let's come here and we will move on to the edit page. Okay, so this is basically known as the source monitor. We'll be learning about source monitor in detail. And also, let's say if I come right over here and at this particular point, let's say I want to import a video. Okay, so let's say I will just click onto this one. And from here, you guys can see there are different options. Okay, so here you guys can see this is the smart insert, the append option. This is the repel override. If you want to insert this particular file, in between, you guys can select that particular video and directly click on insert. Okay, and once you click on insert, you guys can see this video is also being inserted in between both of the videos which I had previously. Let's select this one and let's click on to the delete button from my keyboard, and that thing is being deleted over here as well. Okay, so let's come here and over here, let's go back onto the edit page. Okay, so once you're over here into the edit page, as you guys can see, this basic space is known as the timeline, and over here this particular space is known as the source monitor, and this one is known as the preview window. Okay, so now let's try to understand how it actually works. So once you have imported your media and once you come here into the edit page, you guys will be able to see that you do have all of your footages over here. Okay, you guys can come here, you guys can import that, and if you go to master, you guys can see that you already do have the timeline. Okay, so over here you guys can see I do have my timeline over here itself. Let's come here, let's deselect everything. Okay, and if you want to create new timeline using the selected bin, you guys can come here and you guys can create a new timeline. Okay, so you guys can work in multiple timeline into a single project. Okay, so let's try to understand this thing. So first thing is the media pool. Okay, from where you will be able to import your media. And once you have imported, what you guys can do is you guys can come here and see that particular thing into your source monitor or into your source window. Okay, so it will directly come here in the source window, and from the source window what we will do is we will select what particular part do we want in our video. Let's say let's come here onto this particular video from here, and you guys can see I do have it here in my source monitor. Okay, so I can check out, okay, at what particular part do I want of my video. Okay, and you guys can also see which you want. Do you want to see the audio track if you do have any audio, or do you want to see the offline if you want to see any animations? You guys can come here and check those things out. For now, I will select this one as the source monitor, and over here I will select this as the transform. Okay, so let's come here, let's just come here and let's deselect this one. Okay, I will come here. If you do want to play this thing up, you guys can come here and play this thing up from here itself. Let's come to my source window, and now I will just select the in point and out point. Let's say I want this particular part of the video, so I will just click on I over here, and now I will just play this thing using shift, and I want the video only till here. Okay, and again what I'll do is I will click on O from my keyboard to actually see the in point and the out point. And once you're done, drag this one and drop it just over here. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can add your video right over here just beside. Okay, so once you're done, you have imported it here in the timeline. In this particular window, you will be able to see the final result. So let me tell you guys in a simple way again. From the media window, your footage will come into this source monitor. And once you have trimmed your video, bring this particular video into your timeline. Okay. And the final product you guys will be able to see over here into this preview panel. Okay. So you will be able to see this thing into the preview panel. And here you guys can see, as I only do have one timeline, I am able to see only timeline one option. Okay, so you guys can come here, and also if you do want to change up the name of the timeline, you guys can come here, and you guys can also change the name of the timeline from here itself. Okay, so if you do want to come here, turn it off, you guys can come here, click once, and it will be turned off again. Okay, so if you want to use anything, like if you want to work on with cropping, if you want to use the dynamic zoom option, you guys can select that and it will be applied accordingly. Okay. So once you have done with this particular part, let's say if you want to zoom in with your mouse, you guys can scroll in and zoom in into a particular place. Let's say I want to zoom into this particular place. I will just keep my mouse over here, and over here I will just zoom in, and here into this particular panel, you guys can see I am able to zoom in and see how it actually works. And also you guys can just move around this playhead over here just to see the whole preview. And if you guys just take a look, that if I just move my playhead over here, you guys can see the playhead in my source monitor is also moving. Okay, so for that, let's come here into the image option. And what I'm going to do is I am going to come here, and for images, you guys can directly import those images. Okay, so I will come here, let's say from my media panel, I will come here and I will just import this video or this footage right over here. Okay, and also if you want to see the details of any footage which you have imported, you guys can click on that footage, and let's go to the inspector or this metadata option, and you will be able to see the footage details. Okay, so here you guys can see the footage details, and from the inspector option, if you click on inspector option, if you do want to increase the size, okay, you guys can increase the size of the footage. If you do want to decrease the size of the footage, you guys can come here and you guys can decrease the size of the footage as well. So here you do have the cropping option, you do have the positioning option, you can actually zoom in, zoom out, and also if you do want to give any kind of rotation, you guys can come here and you guys will be able to see up the rotation as well. Let's turn off this option, and over here, as you guys can see, here in my preview panel, I am able to see how the final video or the final product will look like. But here in my source monitor, I am only able to see the thing which I do have selected from my media panel. So let's try to understand this once again to make it simple. Okay, you guys might get confused a little bit at starting, but once you start working in DaVinci Resolve, it will be quite easier for you guys to relate. So from your PC, it comes, or the videos or the medias come into your media pool. From media pool, you guys get that into your source monitor. And from source monitor, once you have trimmed down your video, okay, you guys bring that video into your timeline. And from the timeline, whatever the product you have over here, you will be able to view that product into your preview panel right over here. Okay, so once you are done importing your media, okay, let's say I want to work with this 3 video and I want to work with this particular image, and now I am done working with my media panel and I want to view my timeline bigger. Okay, so in that case, you guys can come here and turn off the media pool option, and you guys can see the length of the timeline is now more. Okay, now you are able to see your timeline in a better way. Okay, so you guys can actually stack up multiple layers over here. You guys can actually do that over here as well. And let's say you want to zoom in only the source monitor. Okay, so you guys can come here and let's say I want to just zoom in 100%. This is how it will look. And again, the same way, if you do want to fit it over here, you guys can come here and fit it over here as well. Okay, so the same way, the same options are over here. If you do want to zoom in, you guys can just scroll in and zoom in. Okay, and also this option is basically for the source monitor, and this one is basically for the preview window or the preview monitor. Okay, so that is about that. And here you guys can see the similar options, going to the first frame and playing in reverse, stopping. And over here, if you do want to play, if you do want to go to the last frame, and if you want to play this video in a loop, you guys can come here and turn this on and off. Okay, so these options over here are basically the same. Okay, but these options are for the source monitor. These options underneath are for basically the source or the project panel. Okay, and if you want to go, or if you want to mark in and mark out eventually, well, not from this, okay, not using the keyboard, you guys can come here and you guys can mark in and mark out eventually from your panel as well. Okay, and if you do want to match the frames, you guys can come here and you guys can check on matching the frames as well. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can see, you guys will be able to match up the frame. So now if I just come here, if I just select it, and from here if I just click on to this match frame, it will not basically work, as it's already over here into my timeline. And if I do want to zoom out a little bit, you guys can see I can basically zoom in and zoom out according to my need or according to my liking. Okay, so this was about editing your workspace. Okay, if you do want more options, you guys can see, you guys will be able to, if you want to work on with the audio, okay, if you want to decrease or increase the audio level, you guys can go to the mixer, and here you guys can just see that here you do have your audio options. And if you do want to turn your audio off altogether, you guys can come here and you guys can turn off the audio altogether at once. If you want to disable it, you guys can come here and you guys can just mute your track. Okay, so you guys can actually work with all these options right over here. Okay, and underneath here you guys can see this is the jog wheel. If you do want to move up, you guys can actually move this thing over here by dragging as well. Okay, and if you want to see some details, okay, let's go to the metadata, and over here you guys can see what is the start frame, okay, and what is the end frame over here, how many frames in total, what is the frame rate over here. You guys can check all of these things out from the metadata option as well. Okay, and just beside the media pool, if you do want to put out any kind of effects over here, make sure you turn on the effects option. And under effects, you guys can see that you do have the video transition options, the audio transition options, and a lot of things more. Okay, so under titles here, you guys can see that over here, you guys, if you want to view the same thing over here, you guys can come here and you guys can view it over here into your timeline as well. Okay, so if you double click here, you guys can see it over here as well. Okay, so this is how it will basically look, and you guys can see which one are you looking to put into your video. Okay, so you guys can check it right from here. If you just double click over here, you guys will be able to see it over here into your preview or into your source monitor. Okay, so I will just turn off the effects mode again. Okay, if you want to add more videos to it, go to media pool and you guys can come here and you guys can work on with this option as well. Okay, so now let's say you do have imported each and everything. Okay, now you don't need the source monitor. Okay, so if you want to only have the preview monitor or the preview panel, in that case you guys can come here on the right hand side of your workspace and you will see an option right over here. Okay, single viewer mode. Make sure to click over here once, and now you will only be able to see the preview monitor instead of the source monitor. You guys can see this is how it works, this is how it will appear, and here you guys can see the total view at once. Okay, and again, if you want to see the double view, okay, you guys can come here and you guys can actually have the double view as well. Okay, and over here you guys can see if you want to check out any of the videos which you're working on, if you just click over here into this drop down arrow, you guys will be able to see all of these options. So make sure once you are saving your resource file, if you want to navigate them directly, to understand, make sure to rename those properly. Okay, so as you guys can see, I want to check out my PNG. Okay, from here, then I will directly click over here, and in my source monitor, I am able to view my PNG. And the same way, if I want to view this particular video, I can come here, I can change the in and the out point over here, and again import that video. Okay, this is how it basically works. Okay, so let's come here, and now I will just click on to this particular icon. Let's just play this thing up over here. You guys can see the changes over here, and I hope you do have understood this class on how you will be able to edit the workspace before you start working professionally in DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so yeah, I hope to see you all in the next chapter, where we'll be understanding about the source monitor in detail, like how the source monitor basically works, how it is quite helpful for us. We'll be learning about all those things over here in detail. So see you all in the next chapter. Till then, take care and goodbye, everyone.